listened to the other podcast you were on.
Oh, what'd you think?
It's very interesting to hear about your experience. You know, from going from at some point being married and having kids, and then later in life coming out and deciding that you know this is who you are and how you want to live your life going forward. And it's pretty similar to my story. Well, I was never actually married, but I had children young, so I didn't come out until my like mid 20s. So my children were still young when I came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of I didn't know what I was doing at the time.
Right.
Yeah, so I figured it out, but and they became they adjusted, I want to say. I think if I could go back now, I probably would have waited
Mm-hmm.
because I
Why is
think it
that?
was kind of a stressful adjustment for everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
it seems like your adjustment was a lot more smoother just from
Yeah.
listening.
Well, my kids being a little bit older and they were in their,
Hmm.
preteens and things have changed where people are a lot more accepting. They have gay friends. My daughter came out before I did. So it was just, yeah, a lot smoother, definitely.
Hmm. And you seem to be a very like with your family dynamic is everything is pretty open and comfortable. There's no
Open. It's open. I don't know how comfortable they are, but I am.
I can dig it. I
Yeah,
Hey, I mean, honestly, that's where I'm at. I'm like, I can't live for everybody else. I have to live for me. So,
exactly.
hmm
And big, I mean,
um,
I understand it because, I left straight and I came back gay. So, it's probably a big
hmm
adjustment for them. But for me, like, it's my life. It's how I lived the 10 years I was in Atlanta. So it was just fine. I just came back to normal.
hmm I like it. So, before we get into anything, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, where you from? What you do for a living.
Okay. Well, I'm a military brat. So I was born in Baltimore, but my parents got stationed in San Diego. So I was actually raised out here, San Diego, California.
Hmm.
Um, I got my degree in electronics engineering. So I started off in computer hardware, but now I'm a technical writer for a software company.
That's cool.
Yeah, I
That's
like it.
I've done some technical writing for when I was a manager at a treatment facility, but
Okay.
it was mainly just kind of like training material or
Yeah,
whatnot.
that kind of thing. And then I'm also doing like project assistance where I run our daily meetings and our biweekly stand-ups where we do our retrospectives. And then I also do some of the board management to make sure that all the cases and issues are updated correctly. And, just busy work and just to
Hmm.
progress in my career because there's not really any upward movement in technical writing. So if I want to continue to progress my career, I kind of have to pick up other skills. So project
Oh, I
management is
see.
definitely on the path.
Okay. So you don't own any business or anything like that, right?
No, I used to be a web designer. Used to have my
Hmm.
own little web design company, but I realized I don't like the business of doing business. Everybody's just trying to lowball and haggling over money, and people want more than what they're willing to pay for, and then what they do get, they're never satisfied. So I ended up doing nonprofit web design where I would just find a website that I knew needed work for a small business owner and just do it for them and not like have to worry about compensation just to keep my skills sharp and to help out in the community kind of thing.
Okay. Okay.
'Cause it was never really about the money. It was just something I enjoyed doing. And so I was like, oh, I can make a job out of it. But then I realized, yeah,
Hmm.
when you bring money into the situation, everything changes. So once I took the money out,
Yeah.
enjoyed it immensely.
But you doing something you love to do now, so that's the
Yeah,
important thing. Well,
definitely.
let's get right into it. I wanted to do this podcast because I feel like I spent a lot of time in just social media. Period. I practically live on social media. I think, which is shameful. I've said that before, but I really enjoy interacting with people, engaging in the groups or whatnot, and I just find it interesting in our community, in the lesbian community, that there's so many people within our community that is looking for love, right? And it's like everyone's looking, but nobody is doing anything. Nobody is interacting or really being that engaging with communicating with other people, and I,
So,
I, I just find it interesting.
so are they actually looking or are they wanting? Because that's different. I feel like a lot of people want to find love, but I don't think a
Hmm.
lot of people are actually looking for it. Because, like you said, they're not doing the active things that you need to do. It's like looking for your keys, but just sitting down in a chair. You're not going to find your keys sitting down. You have to get
Hmm.
up, walk around, and do the steps that needs to be done to actually find them.
Right, instead of just the creepy stuff like just scrolling through Facebook looking at people's profiles and
Right.
not
Really
actually.
looking for this. This person is going to notice me if I comment on her post. No, sorry.
That, yeah, that's funny. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of that, and I'm like, somebody would post a picture, and then you'll see like about 40 people just comment on it. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. You're beautiful, whatnot, and but that's it.
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes. And if somebody jump in the DM or whatnot, then who knows? You probably talked to someone for maybe a week before somebody decided to ghost the other person.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on what they're looking for and what their interest is and how the conversation flows. If it doesn't,
Hmm.
then it feels forced and unnatural. And a lot of people I
Yeah.
find are not comfortable with online conversations. They'd rather get on the phone and talk, or they'd rather meet in person and like get a physical vibe of somebody. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of complications to it, I believe.
A lot of variables, I think, and I think that a, a lot of people don't really think it through before they actually approach someone.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I haven't in the past. I can say that about myself too.
Right.
Uh, so why do you think um, it's such a struggle to find love right now, like in this day and time with the dating pool? I hear so much about, a lot of people tell me like there's piss in the dating pool, and I find that I don't know why I find it funny when I hear that being said, because I'm like, what do you mean it's piss in the dating pool? Because I'm not
But
dating right
also think
now.
about it, they're in it too. So what does that say about them?
Right. that's a that's a good point to make. You know what? When you put it that way, hmm.
You know, because somebody that
you
would say
know,
that
yeah.
is kind of like,
Hmm.
you already know where their minds. They're not even approaching it with a positive mindset, and that's manifestation, right? If you approach
Hmm.
things with a negative mindset, what do you expect to get out of it?
Agreed.
And so
Agreed.
I
And
think that's
it's
what a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is perspective. A lot of it is history, depending on how old they are, what they've been through,
mhm,
mistrust, unfamiliarity. Some people are just so used to being alone, especially, from the pandemic. We're just used to our own space kind of thing. And then it's hard getting to know somebody new, it takes a lot emotionally, mentally, physically to make space for somebody in your life. To even to make new friends these days can be taxing, because then you have
mhm.
to figure out that vibe, and this is someone I can trust, and this is someone I want to be around, or do I just really enjoy my own space kind of thing. And so there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of different variables to it. Now, where do you meet them at? Because especially if you're a black lesbian that only dates black lesbians, that can severely limit your options depending on where you're located. Like there may not be any black lesbian clubs. If you're a femme and you like femmes, or if you're a stud that likes femmes, femmes don't always present as gay, so you don't even know if this chick that you're checking out at the coffee shop is into women. Like what do you do
Hmm.
with that? Like how do you even so there's just a lot. It's a lot of questions that you have to kind of answer for yourself.
Yeah, it's like how do you navigate that? I know it's kind of a struggle for me because I feel like I live in the boondocks of the lesbian community. Like I live in Iowa, and it's like
My dad's in Des Moines.
Des
He's trying to get me
Moines.
to come out to Des Moines. I'm like, there's not enough of us there. My boss wants me to come to Australia. And I'm like, there's not enough of us there. You trying to limit my options. I'm trying to go to San Francisco, baby. I'm trying to go back to Atlanta. I'm like, I need to go where the people are at. Come on.
Yeah, this is not it as far
No.
as the lesbian scene. I swear it's not. I mean we're here, but it's like it's not as diverse as I would like it to be.
Yeah.
So this is not somewhere I would want to be if I'm when I start dating again.
Yeah. Why'd you
So I'm
stop?
looking at other options. When did I stop?
Why?
Oh, why? Oh, well, that's a good question.
Yes, you
I
say you start
honestly,
dating again as in you stopped. So I don't know.
I I came out of a relationship some years ago, and I was emotionally invested in this relationship, and she was not, and
Mm,
it kind of shattered me to a point where I decided that I needed to just stop jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship. And I feel like that's what I was doing most
yeah.
of my 20s and 30s. And I would be in like long term relationships, but then, when they don't work out, and then, you go from breaking up with someone, and then a few weeks later, you're dating someone new. And then within 3 months, you're in another relationship. And I realized that wasn't really healthy for me.
No healing in
So,
between.
hmm
Yeah.
and I honestly think that that's one of the main reasons why there's so many failed relationships right now, because people do not take the time to heal.
Yeah.
And I needed that time. It's been some years. I'm not going to say how many years, but it's been some years since I've been in an
How
actual
many years?
relationship.
This was, secret between the two of us. We're just chatting. How many years?
Okay, so I've only been dating off and on for what's it, 2023? For 9 years, I've just been dating,
Okay.
and that's a
There's nothing
a
wrong with
long
that.
time to be.
I mean, I think that's intelligent because that means that you're emotionally intelligent enough to not rush into something that you know is not for you, but that you enjoy
Hmm.
companionship and you enjoy meeting new people. And you're not just kind of like stuck in the house behind four walls, like ignoring the world. You're still out there. That's okay.
Hmm. Yeah, and I was a little bit, kind of, in a way, I feel guilty because I have met some very beautiful, intelligent, and very nice women over the past 9 years that I've been
Mhm.
single. But I don't know. I get to the point where if I feel like if they get too close, then I put my guard up, and then it just falls
Mm,
apart eventually. So yeah, that's just something that it's not, it had nothing to do with them. It's just all me, and which that's the reason why I remain single, because I don't want to be that person to lead anybody on, or
yeah.
you know.
Do you think that if it was the right person that you would be more willing to let your guard down, or is that something that you have to heal from first?
I don't know. I feel like I've I've done a lot of work. I've healed a lot. But at this point, I just haven't met the right one yet.
Because that's what I feel. I feel like if it's the right person, then there won't even be a thought to put your guard up because it'll just flow
Hmm.
so naturally that it just doesn't exist, especially like if you build a friendship first, then you're not going
Hmm.
into it with that expectation that it's going to turn into a relationship that, maybe it just happens to you just wake up one day and like, hey, we're together. Cool.
I like that. I like that train of thought because, and I think that's a major piece that's missing with some people. They don't take that time, you
Yeah.
know.
Friends first.
Hmm.
Because then
Hmm.
you need to really get to know that person before you make that decision. Not be the
Hmm.
typical U-Haul lesbian that happens when you get two emotional ass women together and all the hormones combine and the periods sync and everybody's all in love and the first 3 months and then that new car smell wears off and it's just like, oh, who are you?
Exactly, exactly. I don't want no U-Haul romances. That's just
Right. Because
not a
something's gonna
thing.
last. But it's like boiling water, when you microwave it, it boils up really fast, gets hot really fast, but it also gets cold really quickly as well. Versus if
Hmm.
you actually boil it in a pot and you let it simmer and take its time to get to a certain heat, then it actually will stay warm longer. I'm a nerd. I just realized that I'm using chemistry as an
No,
analogy.
it's,
Okay.
but you know what? But I've told you before. I always like your thought process about things. That's the reason why I wanted to interview you
Oh,
because
thank
I
you.
feel like you put things into perspective in a way that most people don't think about it like that, and then you'd be like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Make you think a lot deeper about the topic or whatnot. And
Thank you.
you have two right now. You have two groups that you manage, right?
I have more than two.
You have more than two. Okay, so it's the
I
Black
have probably
Lesbian.
about 8 or 9.
Oh my God! So I must not be in all of them then.
No, and there's one I just stepped down from and actually left. That was the San Diego Black Lesbians. Then I have
Okay.
the North County Lesbians, which is just all women, it's not just Black. Black Lesbian Music Lovers, Black Lesbian Art Lovers, Black Lesbian Watch Party, Black Lesbian Intellectuals. I have a Atlanta Black Nerd Society. I have the San Diego Blurs, Heart to Heart, Foodies, and Black lesbian creatives. I don't know how many that
Hmm.
is.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Where do you find the time?
My job is one of those hurry up and wait kind of jobs, where I just have
Hmm.
to be available if needed, but a lot of times I'm not needed. And then when I am needed, I'm good at what I do, so I get it done quickly. So I just have a lot of time on my hands. And I'm an introvert. And so
Hmm.
social media allows me to be social while still maintaining my space, my peace. And then I'm
Hmm.
I'm a really good organizer. I enjoy bringing communities together based on interests, and I have a lot to say. I have a lot of thoughts, and all these groups just allow me to kind of segment my thoughts. If I want to talk about movies, I can go here. If I want to talk about music, I can go here. If I want to have an intellectual conversation, I can go here. If I want to talk about romance, friendship, I can go here. If I want to nerd out with some
Hmm.
blurs, I can go there. And if I want to do something local,
Hmm.
I can go here. And a lot of times it's one of those find a need, fill a need kind of thing where I'm looking for this type of group and these types of individuals and these group of people, but they don't exist. So I create it and then invite people to join me.
I like it. I like it. I'm gonna have to check out some of these other groups. If you want to
Yeah,
send me invites,
I
please
will. I
do.
will. Yeah.
Um, so, well, with that being said, I think about like, people are so busy nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
how much time do we really have to actually date when you think about it? Do we have the time to really invest in trying to pursue relationships? When we're all trying to, take, support our families and um, get educated somehow. Some of a lot of us are in school, and a lot of us, run businesses, and a lot of us, have like very, um, very, a career. We have, we're on a career path that where we're trying to, climb up that corporate ladder. So
Yeah.
when do we even have time to date? How do you navigate that?
I mean, well, that's the thing. If you don't have time, you probably shouldn't pursue anybody.
My thoughts exactly.
Be mindful of your time and another person's. Don't waste somebody's time if you don't have the space for them to be in your life, and that's for friendships as well, right? Like if
hmm
you know you're the type of person that's only going to check in with someone every couple of weeks when you have time, make sure that they understand that, so they're not have that expectation that they're going to hear from you every day. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's about setting that expectation, right? And letting them know, like, this is what kind of time I have. This is where you can fit in, kind of thing. And
hmm
hope that they can respect that as well. Oh, geeks and gamers, Black lesbian geeks and gamers. That's another group I have. So it's like if you're actually looking for someone, then that
hmm
means that you have that space for that person, because you've already imagined what that person would look like in your life. And so you've already manifested that time and that space, even if it's just a couple hours out of the day when you're unwinding, you can unwind with that person. Or if
hmm
you're like me, you just have a lot of time on your hands and you just need someone to help fill it. I had a friend
Yeah.
visiting me last week, and I wasn't on social media at all because usually I'm on social media because I don't have anybody to really hang out with. And so since she was here, I spent all my time with her instead of spending all my time online. So it's
hmm
just you make adjustments for what's important. It's all about prioritization. If this person is important enough to you and you want things to work, then you'll make them a priority. If not, then
hmm
you I guess that's how you can kind of gauge how important that situation is, whether or not you make that space or that time for that person, or you allow them to take up the space or time that you normally set aside for yourself.
hmm
Because
When you
that's the
think
real
about,
question. Are you setting aside time for yourself, like let alone somebody else?
and I think that's it's very important because
Yeah.
it's like, how do you know, um, how to be in a relationship with someone if you don't know how to be in a relationship with yourself first?
Right. All that love that you want to give that person, give that to yourself.
hmm
And then watch it
hmm
manifest back at you.
and yeah, that's pretty much the journey I've been on. I feel like for several years now, and I'm very happy where I'm at right now. That's the reason why I'm not in a rush to date and jump into. I mean, if something happens naturally, um, I'm gonna try not to fight it because I do, I do have
That
this little.
try. You would try not to. Let me do better than
I
try,
just
dear.
that just tells you right there. I'm not ready.
Mm-mm.
But you know what? I'm honest with myself about it. So, and I'm okay with not being ready because I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many people out here who are not ready, and then they still jump in the pool, and that's what make the pool so pissy, right?
Yeah. And because they're trying to find someone to complete them instead of showing up complete themselves.
I like that, and that's important. That's
Yeah.
important. You have
You're looking for someone to fill
people.
a hole when you should be able to fill it yourself. And no one
hmm
wants to feel obligated to be that person to save you. Like you have to
hmm
save yourself. And then when you show up present and complete and whole and with self love and a full cup, then that overflow from that cup can flow into somebody else. But if your cup isn't even full, what do you have to give to somebody else?
it's not going to work out. It
No,
honestly is not going to work out. Yeah,
because all you're
because
going
you're
to do
going
is
to
pull from
deplete
that person.
yourself.
You're going to pull from that person and you're going to drain them, and then they don't have
hmm
anything left. And that's not fair to them.
hmm Yep, that's exactly what typically has happened in past relationships I have had. Like, is what You see, the therapists I used to work with, they would call it like codependent type of
Mm-hmm.
relationship where, you just jump in for the wrong reasons. Like maybe, um, you know, I don't know a good example. Um, yeah, what I've seen in the groups is, people complain about,
A lot of
um,
people are just
well,
lonely.
let's see.
I think a lot of people are just lonely and they're looking for companionship, but they confuse it with love because you have all the love that you need inside of you. You're not
Hmm.
looking for love. You're looking for someone to be with you. You're looking for someone to spend time with you. You're looking for someone to appreciate you and maybe even validate you a little bit because the ego is a whole thing. But looking for love, it's like you should be able to find that within. You should be offering love, not looking for it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, because honestly, it's like whatever you're looking for in another person, you have to be able to find in you.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
then
I'm
don't
hearing you
be,
say. You have to be able to find it in
what
yourself.
do they say? Be a dime looking for a dollar.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I hear it a lot of times when I'm online and I see some funny posts all the time and you see people the whole film versus stud thing, and I
Mm,
hear a lot of films say that studs are always looking for somebody to they're always looking for somebody to take care of them, somebody to they want to move in with you, and they don't know, they never have their stuff together. And I think to myself, like, what type of stuff do y'all be dating?
but also, is this the same woman that's looking to be courted, that's looking to be taken out, that's looking to be wined and dined and given gifts and taken on plane trips and like taking care of
Mm-hmm.
somebody goes both ways, you know,
It
just like
does.
they're looking for something from you. I maybe they're looking for a domesticated woman. That doesn't mean that they want you to take care of them. That means they want you to have the capability to be what they're looking for. And
Mm-hmm.
some people just see that, especially in the lesbian community, because in the heterosexual community, that's that's just a heteronormative way. You know, the girl, you know, it's the stay-at-home wife, and the guy goes and makes the money and that kind of thing, and there's no problem. But for some reason,
Mm-hmm.
when it's two women, the heteronormative, you know, I don't ascribe to it, but those heteronormative ways are looked down upon for some reason because of the whole, especially with Black women, I feel like the whole independent woman thing. You know, you have yours, I have mine, and we don't need to mix, you know, but still treat me like a lady. But it's like you want them to
Mm-hmm.
do all this for you, but then you complain when they want you to do something for them. And that just doesn't sound fair.
Yeah. And I honestly feel like because I've always been a provider.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the one who was the, I don't know how you can put it without sounding the dominant one in the relationship, for lack of a better term, or the
Masculine of
who
center.
the yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to say it. Um, so I tend to attract the type of women who are looking for someone to support them in every way, but however they don't necessarily reciprocate.
What are they bringing to the table
Right, they're not
besides good looks?
exactly the
Aim
pillow princesses, so to speak.
high.
It's a lot of pillow princesses out here, And when I say pillow princess, I don't mean just in a
Sexual.
sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like they
They
just really
they're
want
princesses, literally princesses. They want to be treated like daddy's little girl.
exactly, and I'm trying to get away from those types because it's like when they find out that portion about my personality, they just cling to me for some reason. And I have no desire for that type of relationship because I feel like it's unhealthy, dynamic, it's unbalanced.
Yeah. So what
Um,
type are you
have
looking
you
for?
experienced? Oh, what I'm looking for? I'm not looking for anything right now. But I think that there are certain traits that I find attractive. Um, if I was looking for someone, it would be I like a woman who is just genuinely kind-hearted, um, someone who's easy to talk to, someone who is um, have a diverse set of interests, um, someone who's fun-loving, like to go out and do things, not necessarily just sit around the house and watch Netflix all day. And um, there's some other things I can't think off the top of my head right now, but and of course I have to be attracted to her.
Yeah.
And I feel like you know it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. We were talking about it, and she asked me a similar question. And I was telling her that I don't think I've ever met the type of woman that I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
or that I would like to date. Like, I've met some pretty great women, beautiful, smart, just have a lot of wonderful qualities, but they don't have all the qualities that I have never met a woman have all the qualities that I would like in a
Yeah.
woman. And I honestly feel like that is it really doesn't exist. Like, because we all have our own
Right.
preference, right? Like, what I'm looking for is completely different from what everybody else is looking for. So
Yeah.
that perfect person don't exist. So, and I think the question was, well, where do you draw the line? Like, if you meet someone who you really, really like, they have all these great qualities about themselves, um, but there are some things about them that you just, some things you probably don't like about them, and then other things that are just complete deal breakers, like you're not gonna deal with at all. What are some things that you just know you're not gonna deal with in a relationship,
I mean, it's kind of
or
like
even just dating?
wants versus like it's kind of wants versus needs, right? Because we
Hmm.
all want our checklist. We all have our preferences. We all have our tick boxes, and we'll meet people that tick 80% of the boxes, right? And so it's like that 20%, is that okay if they don't? And it depends on what that is. If the 20% is a need, then it's probably not going to be okay, even if they meet all the ones. But if
Hmm.
the 20% is a want, but they meet all the needs, then it's probably better, you know? And so, like, yeah, I would love to date a gamer girl, someone that has a remote job like me that makes enough money financially so that we can go and travel the world together. But are those wants or needs? Those are wants. No, she doesn't
Hmm.
need to have a remote job. She doesn't need to play video games. She doesn't need to want to travel the world with me. It'll just be a nice to have kind of thing. But the needs are like, how does she make me feel? How does she show up? What's her love language? How does she respect me? What is her intellect level? What kind of conversations can we have? What are her values? And those are those
Hmm.
needs, right? Where I would need those to align with my own. And some of her faults I may be able to look past. So some of her quirks, some of her idiosyncrasies that I might not even thought about. It's just a part of getting to know somebody and whether or not that person can vibe well with you. Does my weird match your weird? Because everybody's weird.
Yeah, I say that all the time. I say that, like, everybody has their weird thing that
Right.
they do, or yeah. So it's like you compatibility is a big thing to
Yeah.
me, and I feel like that's something that's missing out of the equation when people start dating other people. Um, they look at somebody and be like, oh, she's very attractive, she's beautiful, she's has a good job, she has all this other stuff that I like, but are you compatible with this person? Like,
But
do
she can't
you
have no
have the same
conversation. She can't
values?
talk about politics. She can't, she doesn't
Right, right.
believe in climate change. She's a conspiracy theorist that votes for Trump. Like, I don't care what kind of job you have. You're voting for Trump. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
You
That's a huge deal breaker. No
Right.
Republicans in my house.
No.
That's funny.
That's yeah. So that's those are those needs versus those wants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, could you date someone
Compatibility
that didn't
is
have
very
a job?
important. Hmm.
Could you date someone that didn't have a job?
It depends. I mean, what is she doing? Is she going to school, working on a degree, or maybe she is caring for a parent? Um, if she is, financially stable
Yeah.
and not working, maybe she has like an inheritance, or and she's living off of, whatever.
Because so many people are like, they'll
Um,
just check you off the list right there. Like, no job, no car, no, like, there's so many other things. Maybe she lives in the city that she doesn't need a car, like, but
exactly.
their list is so strict, there's no flexibility. So then why can't I find anybody? Because all of your little wants, you've made needs, and you're not
Hmm.
actually identifying your actual needs. So you're crossing people off that could be perfect for you because you've made your wants your needs and you're not even paying attention to what it is that you actually need.
And if people just took the time out to just date somebody for a while and assess those wants and needs, and just get to spend the time to get to know each other, they will actually
Yeah.
realize at some point whether this person is compatible or not.
Well, and that's where building a friendship first comes in,
Hmm.
because I feel like people, it's like you have to choose one or the other. Either we're friends or we're dating. Like, why
Hmm.
can't it be both? Why can't we date while we build a friendship? Because that acknowledges that there's a romantic aspect to our situation, but also acknowledges that we need to take our time and actually get to know each other, so that it's not just based on the physical and the attraction, that it's based on like a foundation of, I get this person gets me, they're okay with how I am, I'm okay with how they are, not just, oh, they tick all my boxes. Because it's not just about you, you have to tick their boxes too, like, but they don't like some shit you do, then you get all butt
Hmm.
hurt.
Let me ask you: have you ever dated someone like who had different religious beliefs, or maybe different political beliefs, or I'm trying to think of something else that stands out to me.
Like value bases.
Just values, yeah.
I've tried to date like very religious women and it doesn't work because I'm agnostic. And so I have
Hmm.
a lot of questions when it comes to theology, and very religious people tend to take that as an offense when you ask them questions about their religious.
Hmm.
And it's just like, I'm not doubting, well, maybe I am doubting a little bit, but I'm just wondering, like, what brought you here? How do you have so much faith in the unseen and the unknown, and just these stories that have been
Hmm.
told and passed down to you? Like, what is it that gives you that faith? And it's usually taken like a suspect, as a non-believer,
Hmm.
which I am a non-believer. But it doesn't mean that I value you any less. We just have different beliefs. But I think when you're so indoctrinated into certain theologies, that it's difficult to come out of that and think open-mindedly and have an open-minded conversation. So you just have to leave it. All right.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
Only if they're not able to communicate. For
Okay,
them, it's a
I
deal
guess.
breaker, it seems. Like, I have a problem
Hmm.
with it. Go to your church, sing your hymns, do your thing. Like, okay, I'll be up here playing video games. But, when you want to talk about it and I have questions about it, and you can't have an open, honest, like, conversation about it without getting your feelings and feeling attacked, then I find communication is big for me. If I can't communicate with you, then what do I do with that? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And someone that I plan on being with, I don't want there to be any topics that are off the table, that are off limits. just because they're uncomfortable. Those are the ones that need to be had the most, because like, what if you adopt a kid? How are you going to raise them with two different faiths?
And that's why don't people even have these discussions like before they even make those decisions is
Yeah,
the thing. My question is I don't understand
because they're
that.
just going based on hormones.
Hmm. Pretty much.
Based on hormones. It's not, is love enough, I guess is the question.
Yeah.
And it's
So are
not.
you going to church with her?
No.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the church. I do. I
Hmm.
used to be a pastor secretary. I've been baptized. I've been to mosques. I've been to Christian churches. I've been to Protestant churches. Like, I've been to church. I love theology. It's fascinating to me. I'm just not a
Hmm.
believer. But I love the energy of the positivity, the community building. I love what the church does for the community in a lot of spaces, especially the Black community. It's just a
Hmm.
lot of it has been, I think, bastardized, and shaped into ways that it wasn't meant to. And it's been used for wars, it's been used for hate, it's been used for bigotry, it's been used for control. And it's no longer the positive light that it used to be, if it ever was.
Hmm.
So, I mean, for
Yeah.
me, like, my faith, if I were to ascribe to one, would probably be Buddhist. But even that, like, I take aspects from different faiths that resonate with me. I think I saw a term that I posted not too long called omnist, I believe, where it's someone that just takes different pieces of different faiths and uses that to form their own faith, you know? Because there
Yeah, I think that's me.
that I can understand. There are parts of Buddhism that I can understand. There are parts of the Muslim faith that I can understand and that can resonate with me. And I'm okay with that. I don't have to believe the whole story. There's
Hmm.
Native American traditions that I think are beautiful. There's Asian culture traditions that I think are beautiful. Aboriginal, traditions that I think are amazing. The stories, the
Hmm.
messages, the energy behind it, it's all wonderful. Like I said, I love theology. I'm
Hmm.
not the one to just take one story and one faith and say, now this is my God. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Because you
It's
don't
like I have this.
know.
It's funny. I have this conversation with my son all the time because, you know, he doesn't believe in religion. Period. And it's at some point you got to wonder like what's true and what's not. Like somebody's lying, right?
Everybody's
And
lying. Nobody knows.
nobody
Nobody
knows.
knows. Nobody knows.
Exactly.
No,
You're
and you
right.
can't tell me that you do. Nobody knows if there's ghosts. Nobody knows if there's aliens. Nobody knows if astrology is real. Nobody knows.
Hmm.
No, but they speak with it
Nobody.
so truth and
Hmm.
passion, and this is my truth. And okay, good for you. Congratulations. I'm happy you found something. Because people need that, and I don't discount that because some people need that in their life. They need that guidance. They need that balance. They need that path. So, like, if that's what makes you happy, like, cool. Just don't try to force it on me.
Right, right. So how do you deal with let me ask you, how do you deal with rejection? Like have you ever like reached out to someone and um maybe you started talking, it's going well, but then at some point they decide that, hey, I'm not the one for you. What experience have you had in that aspect?
Well, I normally get what I want because I'm not pick.
Okay.
But also, I don't go after unattainable goals. I'm realistic with what it is that I can get. I have been in situations where, like, I think things are going well, and then they kind of like take a turn, and then they don't go
Hmm.
as well as I thought that they would. And you just have to learn
Hmm.
how to adjust and adapt and understand that, okay, well, that just makes space for something else that might be right. Of course, it hurts because there's the disappointment, there's the ego, there's the time put into it, the effort put into it. But also, you just
Mhm.
have to kind of like appreciate the good times for what they were, and get over the
Yeah.
disappointment, get over the ego. You remember the good and you discount the bad and you move on with life and just hope that the next time is better. And maybe you learned a lesson in that about yourself and about the other person and about life in general.
You ever
But it was
wonder? Because sometimes, like, I have reached out to a few women, like, over the years who I really was digging. And I would say one time she just didn't reply. This one woman, she didn't reply at all. So I was a little bit disappointed. But I was a lot younger, so I don't know if I even approached her right. Sometimes we just go in somebody's DMs and just say the wrong thing, like, and they probably thinking like, "Who the heck are you?" and "What do you want?" I don't remember what I said to her, but it. I feel like I came off a little bit weird, so to
yeah.
speak. And then there was this other woman who I was talking to for a while, and she just, for some reason, um, we stopped talking, and I don't know why. So I was just like, I didn't even bother to even. I think I reached out to her one more time, and then she didn't respond. So I just kind of figured that she had some stuff going on, and maybe I wasn't. But you can't help but wonder, like, is there something about me that like made them decide otherwise? And if so, like, why wouldn't you just communicate, like, you're not, why ghost someone, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I've
So
done it too, I ain't gonna lie to you.
did they ghost you or did they just like move on? Like, is
I
this
don't
someone you
know.
were like actively pursuing, or were you
Someone
just
I
like
was actively I was actively talking to someone, and she just stopped responding.
hmm.
And
Did you
then
ever ask?
I have done it too.
Why have you done it?
um it would it
Because whatever your
this
reason
is
is
shameful.
probably their reason as well. I'm just saying.
It probably is.
But it's that ego, that ego gets in
uh,
the way. It gets in the
hmm
way of logic. And we make it
But
about
then
us
you,
when it's usually not, it has nothing to do with us. People just, there's millions of people in the world, and millions of people
mhm.
don't have time for millions of people.
Okay, I won't lie to you. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest.
Okay.
Like, when I did it, this was probably about 15 years ago. This was when I was young with the sniffer. I was like just out there doing my thing, and I just saw something else, somebody else that interested me more. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm so ashamed of that when I think
Why
about it
though?
now.
You followed your path, and I'm sure that person is okay, and you let them be to follow their path. Like, not
But
everything needs to be communicated, I don't think. I mean, if someone were to ask, like, "Hey, what happened to you?" I would say,
uh-huh.
"Oh, I met somebody else. I'm sorry for, sorry if you felt some kind of way that I didn't let you know." But I wouldn't expect that every person I'm talking to needs to know when I'm like no longer interested, I guess, because things just kind of fall off, like, and just people in general, like, you have friends that you talk to regularly, and then after a while life happens and you talk to each
hmm
other less and less and less, and it's not like you don't care about that person anymore. It's not like anything happened in between you or anything turned you off from that person. It's just that life happens. People shift, people move different directions, different paths. Not all paths are meant for us. And I think the emotional maturity is in understanding that and being able to set the ego aside and not take things so personally. And if you do
hmm
wonder, if you need an answer, then ask. And I'm sure that person will politely give you the answer so that maybe you do have that closure that you need. But also, why
Yeah,
do you need closure? It wasn't a relationship. Move on with your life. You'll be all right.
right, right. Yeah, and I see that a lot too. I hear people talk about ghosting a lot. So I also like, I'm gonna ask her what she think about
And
it,
most of
because
the time, it's not
I
ghosting. It's just life happens, and people are
it's just
taking it
life happens.
personal because they want to be the center of your world, even if you're not the center of theirs.
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah,
attention
that's
economy.
true.
It's the attention economy. It's just social media and the internet and everybody getting immediate reactions when used to be you you had to actually dial a number to talk to somebody, and
Uh-huh.
now it's just send a text, send a text. Oh, if I can, she can just send a text. Takes 2 seconds to send a text. Maybe for you, maybe for her, it takes more for her to be in that mindset to even know what to say. Maybe she wants to spend those 2 seconds on herself or her kids or her friends or her family. Why do you
Hmm.
need to be the person that she needs to spend those 2 seconds on?
So you don't think that someone that you're talking to for maybe a few weeks, they don't, you're not obligated to give them an explanation.
I think if we're both mature enough to understand that things are slowing down and the interest is waning,
Hmm.
then I think it'd be okay. Now, if we were constantly in communication and then one day one of us just stopped responding, I'd probably be worried more than anything. You know,
Yeah,
like, is
yeah.
she okay? Like, I would wonder if she's okay before I'd wonder, take it personally if it was something I did. Just like, probably give her a couple of days and reached out to her. Hey, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. Are you all right? If she doesn't answer, then okay, there's my answer. Either she's
I
not all
like
right
it.
and I'm not deserved an explanation, or she is all right and I'm not deserved an explanation. Either way, did I die? No.
No, you're right. Yeah, I feel you.
you
So that that just leads me to this question then. So what do you think about like dating multiple people at the same time? Yeah, I noticed that there are people who they get upset at the idea. They feel like, okay, we're talking now. You don't supposed to be talking to nobody else.
I think that has to
Why
be
is
a
that a
conversation.
thing?
That should not be an assumption. That should be a
Right.
conversation. Because if that's your expectation, then you need to communicate that. You need to say,
Hmm.
so are we exclusive? Or it's just say, I would like to be exclusive, and give that person the opportunity to say, well, I am also talking to another person. Just honesty and transparency, so that if you are the monogamous type person that only talks to one person and would like for the person that you're talking to be that way as well, at least you have the
Hmm.
informed consent, to know whether or not they are that way. Because some people, they do, especially with online these days, online dating, you're going to strike up multiple conversations when you put feelers out there. That's just the nature of the odds. And
Hmm.
you're not going to stop talking to this one person because this other person started talking to you. You're going to carry on multiple conversations, like being at a club or at a bar or something. You might go shoot pool with this person over here. You might go have a drink with this person over there. You might go have a dance with that person over there. And then at
Hmm.
the night, maybe the one that you end up going home with is the one that you end up talking to. You don't
Right.
go home
Right.
with all of them, but you're not gonna like just be rude to all of them just because this one person bought you a drink. Then you take
Hmm.
that and expand on it, especially with social media and with online these days. Being, everybody has an option, and maybe that's not the best thing that there's so many options, because it has people, it's harder to commit when you know that, well, I can, there's A, B, C, D, and E over here that I might have a chance with. So how much time do I give G? You know? But I think for me, it's been like, yeah, I might start off talking to 3 or 4 different women especially
Hmm.
when I first go back onto a dating site. Like, it may be someone I was talking to, it didn't work out. So, all right, it's time for me to get back in these streets. And me getting in the streets means me going on my dating sites. So, so I'll, do my swipe, and I'll message a few that I might, comment on the picture here, comment on a post there, comment on the status there, and then, see who responds back. And maybe, 2 or 3 of them respond back, and I'm gonna have those 2 or 3 conversations. But then
Hmm.
as time goes on, maybe one of those conversations tends to be more enjoyable than the other two. And so you just
Yeah.
start talking to that one more often. And then that just kind of turns into you take it offline. So then maybe you're not checking your page as often or at all, and that just kind of like fades out. So if you let things happen naturally, I think they would naturally turn into exclusion. You just don't have to have that
Hmm.
expectation up front. And if you do, then you should be honest about that so that you don't get in your feelings and that person can make a decision. Okay, I'm going to set these two aside and I'm just going to focus on you because I understand that that's what you want. And I think that this might go that way. It just, it's just about communication. A lot of people don't really
I,
know how to say what is it they want,
yeah,
so
yeah.
leave it up to the other person to read their mind for some reason.
I think it's important to communicate that type of stuff in the beginning because, like, I'm the type person that I'm not, even if I was dating, I'm not trying to be exclusively dating someone that I just met. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to, at some point when I do start dating, I want to, get to know different people and, see where the wind blows, so to speak. And I think
Because at
that
the
is
beginning, they're
important
all
because,
friends. You're just making friends. If you look at that way, how many
right.
friends do you have? You don't have exclusive friends. You have a multitude of friends, depending on your interests, depending on your vibe, and depending on
Hmm.
your mood. You might talk to one friend about this, one friend about that, and then you might have your best friend that you talk to
Hmm.
about everything more often. But if you approach dating as meeting new people and developing friendships, then it's easier to not have that expectation of exclusivity, you know?
And it's a good way to wean the bad apples out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The attention horse. The ones that just want your attention, but are probably still talking to 5 other people, to be honest.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, those. Yeah, I just want to be very mindful about who I allow in my space, and I don't want to waste time either, because I feel like at my age I'm not getting any younger. So
How
if
old are
I'm
you?
spending too much time with one person, and then I'm 45,
Oh, okay.
so yeah. How old did you think I was?
I don't know. You can't tell with black people. You never
That's
know.
true.
You never know.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not getting any younger, so I don't want to waste no more time. You
Mhm.
know, so um, I feel like cautious dating is should be a thing, and
What's cautious
not necessarily.
dating?
I think it's cautious when you choose to date multiple people and not allowing yourself to get too attached to one person too soon.
Yeah.
I think it's cautious dating, and I think it's healthy dating. I think it's needed.
Yeah.
Not me. That
You're
doesn't mean you
exploring
jump into bed with everybody.
No, and that's the whole thing, right? It's like
Right.
dating does not mean sex. Dating just means getting to know
Exactly.
somebody.
Exactly. And I feel like with this younger generation, I hate to say that, but because we've all been young before, and I know when I was young, I've had my moments. So I'm not shaming anyone, but I've done my thing, and it's just I don't want life, that fast-paced life anymore. I just want to freely get to know people and different types of people. You know what I mean. So I don't want nobody put me in a chokehold a week later. Talking about some, you're
You're
mine.
mine.
Yeah.